right. Well, welcome again to another episode of the Nurse Empowerment and Leadership Show. And this is a show where we highlight all our amazing leaders who are doing great work in our communities, in their organizations, in their businesses, as well as in their life. My name is Eva Francis, and I'm a president and founder for Brilliant Healthcare Staffing and Training, as well as the Nurse Empowerment and Leadership Podcast. Today we have an amazing and a dynamic guest here for you. Her name is Karen Doiron. She's a registered nurse. Karen is a nurse coach and she helps nurses to thrive and to rest. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a good one. So get ready with your pen, your paper, your water, whatever you have to do. Get ready, relax for an amazing episode. I cannot wait for you to hear my guest today. So, without further ado, let me welcome Karen to the stage. Hi, Karen. How are you?
I'm good. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much for
much.
having me.
It is so great. Thank you so much for being here as well. I know this is going to be a good one. You know, we spoke backstage, and I know you're doing amazing work in healthcare and in the nursing industry. So, listen, I wanted to just tell it all and just inspire us and encourage us today and give it all to us. So, the first thing I'm going to ask you is tell me a little bit about yourself. Just how did you transition from a registered nurse to become a health coach? Talk to me about your journey.
Yes, thank you so much. So, I have been in nursing about 12 years, and I started as an LPN and worked for a few years as an LPN, and then went back to school for my RN. And for about the past 9 years, I have been working in medical oncology in the hospital setting. And I really, throughout that whole process of going to nursing school, starting my first job, I experienced burnout within the first year of my LPN job. I started in long term care. I felt really passionate about serving those people. I loved my patients. I
Yeah.
wanted to do the best for them. I have some really just fond memories of how I grew as a nurse and my coworkers. But the system was almost set up for me to fail in that I was just every day I would go into work thinking, planning my day. If I did this right, and then I did this, and if I combine these two things, I know then maybe I will be able to, finish my med pass by this time. Right. And so,
Yeah.
and I also had small children at that time. And everything just kind of came together with the well, not perfect, the bad storm of stress and chronic stress that I lived under. And I experienced burnout. And then when I transitioned into my hospital job, I knew I needed to do something different because I love nursing. I wanted this to be a career. I wanted to thrive in it. And I'd already seen how the demands of the job can really take a toll. And so I wanted to do things differently. So I started to get curious about that, started to look more into what I can do for myself with health and wellness. And from that, it really just developed into talking with my coworkers and realizing nurses don't have a lot of specific resources that work for them. A lot of health programs aren't tailored for 12-hour shifts. A lot of those things just aren't accessible to nurses. And we have very unique stressors in our job, like the demands of working in nursing, whatever level of nursing you're in, bedside and beyond, really has unique stressors that need to be addressed in your wellness plan. So I discovered health coaching because there was a huge gap between what I knew I needed to do to take care of myself, right? I was like, I know obviously I need to do this, and this. And all nurses could probably give you a list of all the things they should be doing to feel better.
Exactly.
But yeah, but there was a gap between knowing and doing. Huge gap, not just for me, but for other nurses. I remember reading a study from I think it was American Nurses Association that said nurses are the most unhealthy profession personally in the nation. That kind of lit a fire under me. I got really frustrated with that. Like, that's unjust. We're giving everything to other people, but we are not taking care of ourselves. And so I found that you can be trained as a coach in learning how to help people with habit change, actually bridge that gap between knowing and doing. And I was just really excited about that new skill set. It helped me personally and then I was able to help other people. So it's been a gradual transition and kind of growth of this mission.
Yeah.
And now what I really focus on is the stress response and how that impacts all of our wellness, and how specifically for nurses, that is a foundational skill to learn how to identify and manage your stress response that nurses critically need, and it impacts and improves so much of our wellness at home and at work.
Wow. Wow. This is, I mean, this sounds so familiar when you're talking about nurse burnout. I can't tell you how many nurses that I've spoken to. I understand what burnout is like myself. And to hear you sharing and talking about, your approach to nursing and how you're looking at nursing from a different perspective of coaching and helping them to thrive. This is such like a game changer for us as nurses. So, how was the reception when you first started? Because I know you're still working at the bedside. How was the reception when it comes to other nurses? Were they happy to hear you start speaking about wellness and coaching? Tell me about that.
The message is being well received, and that nurses, when I'm speaking into this, I think they resonate so much with what I'm saying. And I get a lot of thank you for putting that into words. Thank you for verbalizing that, or expressing that feeling, or expressing, getting to the heart of what's uncomfortable in my life, or what's not working in my life. And so I feel really thankful that I'm able to bring that conversation forward, because we need to have more conversations about this in nursing, not just as a nursing as a profession, but each nurse really needs to start having that conversation with themselves. Like,
Absolutely.
what does this look like for me? Where, if I'm uncomfortable, unhappy, feeling unwell, what might be the root of that? And really asking those good questions, and daring to look at things differently and think about doing nursing differently so that we can thrive.
Yes.
Um, it's really interesting though in these conversations is that nurses, we really like tangible things too. So, and we like to have accomplishments and things to check off the lists.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, I say I'm a recovering overachiever and chronic stressor.
Okay.
That's how I lived
Many of
most of my
us.
life.
Many of
Yeah.
us.
And when I say those terms to nurses, they're all like, "Yep, that's
Yep.
me." Because we're so good at accomplishing it, and we're given value for that, right? Good job at getting this advanced degree. Good a job at, you know, you have to be perfect to be in nursing school almost, and get, really high grades, and to get into it, and then, that we're really praised for our accomplishments. So when I started to talk about something that's more nuanced, more individualized, like stress management, I really have had to find that language to get very concrete about it.
Mhm.
Because when I was doing basic health coaching, like improving nutrition and helping people get more active or lose weight, that was like very tangible. People are like, yes, I need help with that. But when we talk about the stress management result, which it really is the root
Is
of
that
all
true?
of those
Yep.
things, like, you can have the perfect diet. You could have a personal trainer and you see them consistently. But
Mhm.
if you are stuck in a state of chronic stress, your body is being damaged. And all that extra work you're doing at the gym with the perfect nutrition is not being optimized.
Yeah.
You
Why
still may
is
not.
why is it so though, Karen? Because I want to say we spend so much time taking care of others and we focus on getting it right with our patients. We focus on getting it right with our families and the communities. Why is it so hard for us as nurses and nurse leaders to start focusing on within, focusing on ourselves? Because we cannot pour from an empty cup. And many nurses need to understand that. How are you giving care without caring for yourself first? Why do you think, what's the root of all of that, from your studies and from your experience?
Well, I think part of it is possibly just the conditioning of the job, meaning
Yeah.
the expectations of our role and what we are kind of trained to do. And it starts in nursing school, honestly.
Mm.
Nurses get into nursing school, they have to be perfect to get into nursing school almost academically. And
Mhm.
then the curriculum of nursing school is so physically, academically demanding. Most nursing students don't do anything else except that, right? They have to sacrifice a lot, time, their relationships, their own health. People joke about like the nursing, instead of the freshman 15 when you go to college of gaining weight, the nursing 40, like, um, and so when I precept nursing students, even they're, I have to tell them to go take breaks. Like, oh, can I
Yeah.
go take a break? Yes, go take a break.
Yes,
Like,
take a break.
yeah,
Absolutely.
things will be fine without you. And that continues, into our practice. And I know that the demands being placed on the nurse are more and more and more. Our specialties and the actual things that we are doing, the acuity of the things we are doing with the improvement of technology and our patient population, we're doing way more complex things, even just on a medical floor.
Yeah.
I am doing so many more things, but it's still put into the same time, right? So we are so focused on
Doing.
doing, yes, doing, asking,
We
and
are.
and we still get value from that, right? And I'm not saying this in a critical way, but when you are like, I've got everything on my checklist done, I didn't make any mistakes that I'm
Yes.
aware of. You're like, okay, I feel like I did my job.
Exactly.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, and I think that there's that conditioning, there's the expectations of the job. And then I think we just also, by nature, when you get into a profession where you want to help people and you want to help people improve, most nurses have a natural tendency to connect with people, to have compassion. It's one of our superpowers,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
To want to improve things around us. We always are looking for problems and we always are trying to fix them. And so we're very outward focused. And so I think it's very hard to put ourselves first. And well, I don't want to say put ourselves first. I think you can do both. You can take care of yourself, but you
Yes.
can also do what's best for your patient. And I think that's a new conversation because nurses so often, when I'm having these conversations, they feel guilty for doing things for themselves. If they have a day off, they're not doing anything, they really feel guilty. They feel like they should be productive, they need to be doing things. And so it's really kind of changing that conversation of like, no, rest is productive. When
Yeah.
you take your breaks and hydrate, reset your brain, eat
Absolutely.
some food, balance your blood sugar, that's productive. Like that helps you take
Yes.
better care of your patients. And
Yep.
so I don't there's a huge lots of different components, but I think a lot of it is also just that culture of our profession that, hopefully we are starting to shift.
Yes, yes, definitely. And I really think that the culture has a lot to do with it. It starts from the top as well, because leaders can make a difference with ensuring that nurses take their break, nurses take their lunchtime, nurses get a time to step back and pause a little, especially work in a critical place, critical area like the critical care units, the oncology stressful areas, the emergency department. There are many things that nurse leaders and administrators can do. As a former healthcare administrator myself, I look back and I say, I used to be overseeing an emergency department, and I remember my nurses were so stressed at the time. And what I did, doing rounds, I tried to get my hands involved as well. I'm not going to just pass them and see them stressed out and do not try to do something. But I always remember I used to make sure that, listen, you need to take your break, step back, you need to do this, that kind of a thing. And I would like to see more of that today. What are your thoughts about leadership and administration? How can we do better with our staff to ensure that we are getting the best from them?
I love that question because it really does come when you have support from management, and it makes a huge difference in the culture and a huge difference in how people can and function. And so I think really that the leaders modeling that for themselves.
Yes.
Um, like I was talking with a client who is just even like a nurse team lead, right? And they had a really stressful day. She was walking me through it, telling me the skills that she used to kind of make it function. Um, and she's like, and what I did was I took breaks. I said, okay, I'm going to take a 15 and go because they were all virtual. They were all a virtual team. And she's like, I'm going to go take a walk around the block and then you're going to go next. And she modeled that for her team, even though they were very, very busy. She knew that modeling that and allowing them, giving them permission to reset and take care of themselves was not only just the best thing to do for them as people, but
Yeah.
also she knew that it would help them all function better. And
Abs-
so that was just a great example for me of how that modeling is so important. And having advocates in administration at all levels for nursing makes the biggest difference. When you have a leader who is in touch with the bedside nurse or whoever they're overseeing or working with as a team, and they're the ones that not only advocate for maybe the technical things like the budget, but they're advocating for the people. They're
Yes.
advocating for the people and, willing to go to higher management and say, my team's looking for more flexible work options, or they want to structure breaks this way, or they're not getting breaks, and these are the barriers. These are the resources we need. It's having good management is probably one of the best things for retention of your staff as well, and
Abs-
not just even their own personal health, but investing in their personal health and wellness in their day to day makes a difference.
Absolutely. Yes, that is so true. You see, leadership is all about people, and you have to really and truly assess and know where what's going on with your team. You can't lead and you're not aware of what's going on. And I would say in your approach, I'm sure that you have come across leaders who are stressed as well and burnout. You have many leaders out there who are so stressed to the max. So many things and changes are taking place in healthcare. Absolutely, they are going to be stressed out. And do you have any kind of a program then, or I shouldn't say program? How do you approach like leaders then when it comes to taking care of themselves? Or do you, I should say, do you have any experience of approaching leaders as far as that is concerned? For their own well-being.
Well, the approach is really the same because I feel like all people need these foundational skills.
Yes.
And so I do one-on-one coaching and then I do a group coaching program. But in those conversations, they're very personal. We have a lot of conversations, a lot of how is this working in your real life? What are the barriers you're seeing to implementing this one small habit this week? And in those conversations, we're able to identify those unique stressors
Yeah.
and really to problem solve around them. Nursing leadership has much different stressors, but at the core, it's really very similar,
Yeah.
right? And I think also just letting nurse leadership, that they are worthy of investing in their own health as well. Because when they are in a less stressed state, when they're in a more restful state, communication works better. Like they're able to have, better communication with their staff. They have more intuition about prioritization. So when we're not stressed, like when we're in a more restful state, our brains work better. Our
Absolutely.
our creative brain works better. We're better at problem solving. We're more emotionally intact, right? So it really helps them be a leader. Uh, but I know that leaders have so many demands on them too. Like I know a lot of them just eat at their desk while they're in meetings. Um, they're doing time card on Sundays because
Yeah.
that's what's recommended. So the need is there for all levels of nursing, but we have these core stressors that are very unique in that the work we do not just impacts us and our team members, it impacts actual people and their physical health outcomes, right?
Yep,
Like that's a huge
definitely.
extra burden that a corporate job doesn't have.
Yep,
If we don't do something correctly, or we don't solve a problem, or we don't someone makes a mistake, it's a real person's life that's at the end of that line, and it adds this extra level of hypervigilance
yep,
that
yep.
is critical to address.
Absolutely. And I think transparency is part of it because leaders need to, share what they are going through with the staff as well too, and get them involved. It's like a team. It's not like it's them and us, that kind of a thing. Because I know from a leadership standpoint, it can be super complex and stressful. You may have a meeting with a physician who is going to OR from 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 to 7. You have another meeting from 7 to 8. You have another meeting from 8 to 9, 9 to 10, and it goes all the way till 5 p.m. Sometimes you only get 30 minutes just for a break. You don't even get time to prepare for the next meeting. I have been there, so I understand quite well. So, as leaders, we have to ensure that we really focus on self care and step back at times and know that, listen, I have to give my all. And in order for me to give my all, I have to take care of me, because a leader will sit and be in that office, and it's not that they don't want to leave the office sometimes to go to see what's going on the floor, but sometimes depends on their day-to-day, what they do on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes they definitely cannot even leave their office because they have so many things going on, so many projects. It can get very complex. And I believe that one of the things leaders need to do is to ensure they delegate, incorporate the team into what they're doing, and take it from there. It can get a little bit hectic, you know so I'm glad that you're doing this, and this is such a game changer because this is so necessary. We have so many health coaches out there who are coaching nurses, and some of them have the experience, and some they don't have that experience. Like you, the nurses have, you have the skills, you have the education, you have the training, you have the experience. So who is better to coach a nurse than another nurse who have been there? You have been there. So I'm just saying to you, I am excited about what you're doing. And so, Karen, if a nurse out there say she's stressed, she is struggling with getting her work done and all of these things, and they want to improve themselves from a health standpoint, what's the first thing they need to do?
I love
What
that.
do they need to do?
I I tell people, if you don't know where to start with stress. Address stress first. I really believe so strongly that it is foundational to everything, and it's one of those things that will give you kind of reclaim that energy that you so desperately need, give you clarity, and then allow you to take steps forward in wherever you feel like is best. But we really have to address stress first. When was looking at my own health journey, because my body really suffered from the chronic stress I'd lived in, and
Wow.
um, I had a period where I had a lot of health issues all of a sudden, and really struggled to try to figure out what was going on and how I could really improve myself. When I look back, I mean, it was almost a decade process for me to figure it out on my own.
Wow.
Um, I look back and I say, if I knew one thing at when I started, what would have made the most difference? And it's understanding my stress response
Ooh.
and learning how to shift from fight or flight, which is a stressed response, which most of us live in all the time in modern life and in nursing. We are shifted into chronic stress. How do I shift out of that into a rest and digest state, the other part of our nervous system? How do I intentionally do that, so that I can really improve my wellness, improve my thought process, and recharge my emotional batteries. Um, so I would say don't take on a new diet eating plan. I don't like the word diet either, just for, because the first three letters are die. So I don't
Yeah,
teach people.
exactly.
We
I
do
want
address nutrition because
nutrition.
it's important, right? But we address nutrition, but it's focused through the stress response. Foods that stress our bodies out and foods that give us energy.
Yes.
And we simplify that. Not to get off on a tangent, but I just want people to know, like, nutrition is important,
Yeah.
but don't pick up a new eating plan. Don't go work out really hard at the gym. Don't, you know, reorganize your whole pantry.
Yeah.
Um, all those things might feel good and they're
Mhm.
not bad in themselves, but you just need to shift out of that stress
Yes.
state, even for
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Right. Sounds like
So,
a mindset change too. Your
mhm,
mindset focus on, what's going on in your mind. It sounds like
yeah.
it, right?
Yeah. And really start to shift into this idea that rest is productive and that resting, which can mean is really all those things that shift us out of chronic stress, the stress response.
Yes.
Those are all things that deserve a place in our day and also are part of our wellness plan. They
Yeah.
really have to be part of that. And so, um, looking how to incorporate those things throughout your day as almost a maintenance so that you're not living in this state of chronic stress that's super high. You're kind of slowly lowering that baseline
Mhm.
because you are shifting out of it, even if it's for 3 minutes, 5 minutes throughout your day. Your body then gets more comfortable not being stressed and
Yeah.
you function better. So I would say building awareness, the first thing you want to do is build awareness about how stressed you are, how it feels in your body, what's that doing to you, and then pick something really simple
Yeah.
to to start doing. Um, and so that's kind of the process I walk people through is a systematic process to address stress anytime.
Wow. Wow, that is so rich. That's so powerful. So leaders, nurses, if you're out there and you're listening to this conversation, take care of yourself. Address your stress. Take a look at what you're eating. Take a look at your rest time. How are you taking a break from the job every now and again? So I want to also ask you, Karen, and I should have asked you this earlier in the conversation. Define who is a rest nurse, because you have that on your part of your credentials. The rest nurse, rest RN. Define who is a rest RN.
Yes. So that is my coaching business name in that
Okay.
I think it just incorporated what I want to teach nurses to do. I'm the nurse that tells you to take a break to rest and teaches you what that really means, like authentic deep rest that is a skill and really improves our energy levels and shifts. It allows us to shift our patterns, the patterns of chronic stress we've developed. It allows us to shift those and by shifting them, we start to recreate our lives in a way that is more restful, but it's usually more productive at the same time. It's a little bit of an oxymoron for a lot of people, but it's I just feel like the rest component is so critical and it's not talked about enough.
Yes, yes. When you rest, you thrive more, right?
Yes.
Karen, thank you
Yes.
so much for what you're doing for nurses. This, I mean, let me tell you, I cannot tell you how much this is so necessary. This is needed in our healthcare arena and in nursing. So I want to say, nurses, if you're out there and if you're stressed, if you're struggling, get in touch with Karen. I want to ask you, Karen, share with us how can they connect with you, because I want to see more nurses connect with you. I want to see more of us, seek you out, attend your sessions, your group training, your group teaching, your one-on-one. Tell us how we can connect with you.
Yeah, so I have a website, therestrn.com. I am active on social. I'm very active on LinkedIn. And you can really probably just search the Rest RN or my name. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. I have a private Facebook group that is for people just to kind of get into a space where they have more access to me, and we do some trainings in there. I do quarterly trainings and resources, and just really having somebody who can help you bring clarity to what's really going on, bring awareness, ask those questions that help you really discern what's really going on, what's the root of the issue, and what might be the next small step to take is so valuable.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, I really need to get in touch with you myself as well to get some more information. Well, thank you so much for your time, Karen. Thank you so much. And I know we have to get you back on this podcast again for part two, because I know there's a lot more. But in the interest of time, we have to wrap it up. I want to ask you, what do you have um, any last information you want to share with us out there? Any final word or anything like that?
I just want to encourage people that you can start really, really simple. And that's one of the things that I is a foundational piece of my coaching is how simple can we make this? How can we cut through the overwhelm that we hear of wellness and all these things we're supposed to be doing? Stress management work and rest work is not about adding more to your to-do list. It should not be harder. It's actually going to bring you more energy. It's going to make you feel better. And you can start as simple as incorporating slow, deep breathing throughout your day. The tools are really accessible, really simple, but they're just understanding what tools work best for you and how to incorporate them and having that support to find the things that are going to be the needle movers for you, and really start to shift. So we start really small. So if you want to start feeling better, it's as simple as deep breathing, even just 5
Yeah.
slow, deep breaths, and pick a spot in your day where you want to do that. I had a home health nurse who put a sticky note on her steering wheel. So every time she got into her car before and after patient assignments, she just took 10 slow, deep breaths. And that
That's
made a huge difference in her day.
wow.
Um, Before you get on the phone to talk to, if you are in a job where you're on the phone a lot, or before you sit down to chart, or before you go into a patient room, or while you're washing your hands. Don't underestimate the power of those simple, simple moments of awareness for yourself. They really do make a huge difference.
Wow, breath works. I know there's a lot of conversation out there from accreditation agencies like the Joint Commission and CMS about breath works. So we are
Mhm.
on track. Once again, thank you so much, Karen, for your time. This has been an amazing and a transformative conversation. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you listen to this podcast, get in touch with Karen, and your life will definitely change. And I'm going to be connecting with you as well. Once again, thank you, Karen. It was great. It was amazing. And I will talk with you another time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was a good one. And until then, next time, eat well, live well, sleep well, and serve well.